I want to tell you what I've come up with concerning that mystery leak in your steering box. Now this box in this car, it's a 29 Dodge, and I put a 61 Chev manual steering box in it. And I've been driving this car with that steering box in it for 40 years probably. A couple of years ago I took it out, rebuilt it, and put it back in, and it leaks. Yesterday I was just about to pull it out again and see what it is that I did wrong, but the thing is that out of the pitman arm shaft, there's no seepage. It's dry as anything. The input shaft from the steering column is dry. There's no leak there. Frustrating part is I just rebuilt this steering box. Did a good job, I thought, and I put it back in the car, and the next thing you know, it's dripping oil. And it would leak out probably, well, this much in 8 or 9 months, and it's parked for most of the time. But I can clean the oil off the casing at night, come back the next day, and there's a drop right up here on this bulgy part. And if you feel where there's oil, it's only right there. It seems to be actually coming right through the casing. So I suppose there could be a hairline crack in there or whatever, who knows. So the plan was I was going to pull that steering box out today, but last night I took a look on the internet and see what other guys have experienced. Well, it turns out that even though there is an oil filler plug on the top of your steering box, it doesn't want oil. You would assume that, 90 weight gear oil, whatever, and that's what I put in mine. High viscosity oil, like 80, 90 weight, is stickier, but that doesn't mean it won't run as far. It just runs slower. And you can put a drop of that stuff on the concrete floor or drop it on the fender of your car and it'll run. Takes it a long time, but it'll run just like any other oil. So if there's a way that it can leak out, it's sure gonna leak out even though it's thick oil. Well, apparently, GM made a special lube. They just called it steering box lube. Well, it had some part number for your steering box. And it was more like the viscosity of grease than it was of oil. They don't make it anymore. So I just kind of went with what other guys are doing. And it seems like the most common practice is to mix grease and oil. Because I've already got oil in my steering box, I sucked it out using this little tube here, clear, so you don't have to actually swallow any. Put it in your mouth, put it in there, suck it up, throw it out into a bucket or whatever. About 12 strokes, 15 strokes or whatever, and I got all the oil out I could. Now there's still oil in there. The advantage of having oil in there actually is that the oil will seep into all of the nooks and crannies in the bushings and the balls and the worm gear and all that kind of stuff. And now I take all that out and I can add grease in there. And if it still leaks oil, I am going to just continue to add grease as we go. Now it seems that popular opinion, and that's all we got to go by here, is to use lithium grease. So that's what I'm putting. I just ran over and bought this tube. Reason being is the chemical makeup of it won't pit the brass bearings or some of the other parts in there, which could possibly happen if you use wheel bearing grease or some other kind of grease. And again, it's just popular opinion. So that's what I'm going with, a mixture of grease and whatever oil is in there, and I'm going to drive it. So good luck with getting the leak stopped in your steering box.